Join me as I turn this into this. My DIY ombre clay bowls. Hello, social crafts friends. Casey here. Thanks for joining again. Today we are going to show you how to make these ombre clay bowls. We are also going to show you how to put a bunch of different textures into the bowls and how to use air dry clay, which is not a very difficult thing to do, but to make it look expensive, like these cute little bowls that you can basically, these little trays maybe, like more to say, that you could basically find in stores. This has been one of my favorite crafts, not only because it's just easy, but the product that ends up turning out is just beautiful and I am thrilled with it. So I'm so happy you're going to join me. If you got our craft box, I will show you what comes in the craft box. If you did not get the craft box, I will still show you, and you can go out and get these things, or you can go to our site socialcrafts.com and get a whole box with everything in it, so you don't have to battle the craft store, and we will send you everything straight to your door. You can buy one for you. You can buy 10 and have a craft party. That is what we're all about. We're all about gathering over crafts and doing it together, and that is what we are here for. But all in all, we are happy you are here. I am happy you are here to do this craft with me, and let's get started. So first off, let's put these aside. First off, you will obviously get a pack of air dry clay. So air dry clay, this is one of my favorites, and this is in white. You will then also get a rolling pin. This is a rolling pin. We got it specially cut and made for you guys. A pack of food coloring, and you will get some gloves. You don't have to use it, but when you mix the food coloring into the clay, it tends to get all over your hands. I personally don't mind, but I know some of you might, so there are some gloves that are included in your craft box. You will also get a paper clip that you'll end up bending like this to help you cut around the clay and such. So paper clips. Some plastic bowls that you can use. You can also use any bowls you have at home. I've used all different types depending on what kind of shape you want when it dries. Then we give you a couple different textures that these will help make your textures into your clay bowls, trays, whatever you want to call them. And sandpaper. I have a 220 grit sandpaper here. A couple pieces of wax paper, and a plastic bag. A plastic bag is great for once you open your air dry clay. You don't want it to dry out, so you want to make sure all that air stays away from it. You will also get a printout of a few different leaves, and this will help you make your leaf bowl if you decide to make one. And also this cool little instructional that I put my heart and soul into. So you will get all of this stuff in your craft box, and it will come straight to your door. So without further ado, let's get started, and I will show you how to do this craft. I will show you 4 different clay bowl examples in this video. First up is our ombre leaf bowl. This ombre technique you can use in any bowl, but we're going to show you how to do it with the leaf bowl that we're making. You're going to take about a 2 inch by 2 inch or so piece of clay. I'm taking more here, which was a little bit too much. So take about a 2 inch by 2 inch piece. Fold up your clay, put it actually in a plastic bag so it doesn't dry out. The air will obviously dry out the clay, so put it in a plastic bag. You're going to start kneading your clay here, and that just means pressing it in between your hands to make it a little bit softer. Go ahead and flatten it out just a little bit, and this is where you're going to add color. You're going to add about 10 drops of food coloring. If you are mixing colors, maybe, and you're using 2 colors, then maybe do 5 of each color. Here I'm not doing as many as I'm telling you to, and I had to go back and add more color, so do about 10 drops total. This is also where you're going to put your gloves on if you don't want to get the food coloring on your hands. This is where it gets messy. I don't really mind getting it on my hands, but the gloves are there if you don't want to get it on your hands. It will wash off. It is food coloring.
you're gonna fold the clay over the food coloring and kind of put the food coloring in the inside of the clay, and then you're gonna just start kneading the clay, which means pressing it together in your palms and folding it on top of each other, pressing it together, folding it on top of each other. You're basically doing everything you can to mix in that color. This we did a purple color. It doesn't look purple right now, but as you mix it together, it will be purple. It does use, you have to use a little bit of strength here, and so we have a few other techniques you can do. You can pull it apart and then fold it on top of each other and press it together. You can also use your rolling pin. If it's getting a little hard on your hands, go ahead and also use your rolling pin to roll it out, fold it back on top of each other. You can see here I'm adding a little more color because it wasn't enough. And you can add more or less than I suggest, of course, but I would say about 10 drops total is where we ended. And again, just keep kneading, and you can use, like I said, your rolling pin, roll it out, fold it on top of each other, roll it out, fold it on top of each other. And you're gonna do this until basically you don't see those dark spots anymore, which if you want those dark spots, totally keep them, which is also a cool technique, but we're just showing you how to achieve the ombre technique for now. So that's what we're gonna show you. So you'll see I'm gonna keep doing this until we get a smooth color, and you'll see it's starting to look a little more purple. That marbling color is really cool. I like to sometimes leave it like that, but we're gonna get a smooth color for this ombre. So next, once you get a smooth color, don't mind our color change here. I decided to leave the purple for one of the later examples. I decided to do green now. So just pretend like the green is the purple. So you'll take a little more of the plain white clay and then also your colored clay. You're gonna shape them into kind of like a teardrop form. You'll see I'm rolling them so it turns that one end has a point and one end has a thicker end, so kind of like a teardrop. Squeezing that end together, make sure all the clay is intact, and you're going to do this for both colors. Once you have that, they're about the same. Once you have that, you are then going to squeeze the two pieces together, opposite ends together. So the thinner end of one color next to the thicker end of the other color, and you're going to gently squeeze them. You want to keep them in somewhat of a teardrop shape. This is what is going to help you achieve an ombre look. So if it's diagonal like that, that's exactly what we want. So kind of squeeze it together. Next, take your rolling pin and start rolling it out. You're gonna roll it out till maybe it's about approximately 1/4 inch. And at this point, you are not gonna roll side to side. You're just gonna roll front and back. So this technique is basically to start mixing the clays so they start to create a blended look. So then we're gonna fold it back on top of each other once it gets about 1/4 of an inch thick and kind of long. Fold it back on top of itself, roll it again. And we're gonna keep doing this over and over until the clays start to look blended in the middle and not such a harsh line. So again, folding it back over on itself and rolling it out again. You can see here it's starting to get a tad bit wide, and I tend to push the edges in here and there. You don't want to push them in so any of the colors start to overlap, because that will not make your ombre, the blending effect, happen. But if it starts to get more wide than long, start to push in the ends and then keep rolling. So you want to keep folding it on top of each other, roll, folding on top of each other, roll. And finally, when you get to a point that you like the color, this is a nice blended color that we want, we then start to go side to side with the rolling pin so it starts to make more of a circular surface that then we can make our bowl out of. So rolling side to side now. Before I told you only to go up and down to blend, but once you get a good blending effect, then start to create the shape of your clay by going side to side. And at this point, we're ready to start with the leaf cutout. So choose a leaf. We have 4 different leaves that we gave you. So choose a leaf and go ahead and cut it out with some scissors. And then you're going to lay the leaf on top of where you want your clay bowl to be. Take that paper clip we gave you and unfold it so it becomes a point, and this is going to become your cutting wire. So we'll just reference it as your cutting wire from here. So go ahead and follow the leaf paper pattern around with the cutting wire, and don't worry about the rough edges. You can sand those down at the end with sandpaper. So you can see here that I am making the lines of the leaf with the cutting wire. And again, you'll see some rough little edges, and that's okay. We can sand those down after. And then you're going to place it in any bowl and let it dry. Example 2 is a lace doily bowl. So we're just going to use some plain white clay. Make sure you have a good amount, a little bit more of amount than maybe last time. You want enough to have the whole lace doily on this project. So go ahead and knead your clay, make sure it's a little soft, and then we're gonna roll it out. And this one we just roll out front to back, side to side. We wanna roll it out evenly so we get a good circle. So start to roll it out so it is an even looking circle. And about 1/4 inch is where you want to stop. If you roll it out and you don't have enough, add some more and roll it out again. Now you take your lace doily and place it on top, and you want to make sure your lace doily or your whole lace doily fits. Even if it is like on the very edge like I have it, that's fine. If your clay is a lot larger, that's fine as well, but you want to make sure that the lace will fit on the entire piece of clay. Go ahead and take your rolling pin and roll the lace into the clay so the surfaces become even. You don't want to roll too hard, just roll gently so that the surfaces of the clay and the lace become even. Once we're there, remove the doily, take your cutting wire, and you're gonna go around the edge, cutting out the lace doily. You can do it really precise, which, you know, you can, but I actually just ended up starting to do squiggly kind of lines around the edge. You'll start to see that I start to do squiggly lines, and that created a great edge effect for the lace. So you go all the way around the doily, creating a kind of a lace wave. And again, like I said, you'll see some really kind of rough edges, and don't worry about those after it's completely dry. You can go to those edges with sandpaper and smooth everything out, and it looks super polished. Next, take an appropriate size bowl for your doily. Get it off that wax paper and place it in the bowl gently and let dry. It takes about 24 to 48 hours to dry, and there you go. Next is our marbled lace bowl. For the marbling effect, super easy. Just take 2 colors of clay, push it together, knead it just a little bit, mix it up just a little bit, not as much as we did in the first example where we wanted to get a clear, like solid mix of color. You just want to kind of push them together, knead it together, and roll it out. If that's not marbled enough, you can always push it together again and roll it back out and play around, play around, and it's super fun to see what the clay comes up with. I use this lace doily again for this one. This one, I'm only going to use the, it doesn't have to fit the whole thing because I'm going to end up making this into a circle, not a lace. So I just use the texture of the lace for the top. Again, pushing the lace gently into the surface and then taking the lace off. And this time I'm going to make it a round bowl. So I find anything that has a round type of surface or diameter, place it lightly on top of your clay, not hard because you don't want to make an indent of the circle, and just trace around it with your cutting wire so you have a perfect circle. Remove the excess clay from the outside. Again, not worrying about the rough edges. You can go back after it's dry with sandpaper. Place it in a bowl, gently in a bowl, pushing the sides down like very, very gently, just so it's not curled up like that, but I don't really push the bowl really far down. And you let it dry, 24 to 48 hours, they'll be ready and you can sand those edges. Example 4 is a multicolored texture bowl. This you can use really as many colors as you want. We did a few different gradients of purple, and then I kind of folded it on top of each other, kind of did a marbled look again. Really experimented with this one. And this example is to show you that you can use really anything around the house for texture. We used a lace piece of trim, but look around the house. Look at whatever else might have texture, maybe even like the bottom of a pen, or just look around to see what kind of textures that you can push into your clay to create some really cool new looking bowls. Again, here we're gonna cut out a circle, so finding a circle shape here, I used the glass and then trace around it with our cutting wire, remove the excess clay, and then put it in a small bowl to let it dry. Again, smoothing out those edges just a tad, not pushing it too far into the bowl, but just to create an really smooth sides. And from here, you just let it dry. You can add some glaze to your bowls, but not necessary. And you got some pretty good looking bowls here.
So thanks for joining me in making these perfectly cute, gorgeous clay bowls, trays, anything, ring bowls, you want to call them. Thank you again for joining me. Again, remember to go to socialcrafts.com if you want to grab up this box. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at socialcrafts, Pinterest the same, Facebook the same. Just look up Social Crafts and you will find us. Also, if you like this video, please help us and give us a thumbs up below, and don't forget to subscribe here. Share our channel with all your friends, and I will see you next time. See ya.